If I say Harry Potter or Percy Jackson is for kids, nobody panics, because it's all according to the fans. But if I say Star Wars is for kids, well, then everyone loses their minds.
So what would happen if I call Avatar: The Last Airbender a cartoon for kids? It's time for Hot Take Tuesday!
As well as several other audio issues that I didn't bother solving because I had to get this on time.
Though I don't know why it'd be a hot take just to say, you'll probably just need to chill. Honestly, it might be more controversial to say that Avatar: The Last Airbender is pretty good. Because if I were to say that it's bad, well, that's so obviously stupid that it's dismissible. But if I were to merely say, yeah, it's pretty good, immediately there'd be,
what are you talking about? It's the greatest animated show of all time. It's a masterpiece. There's nothing wrong with it. It changed my life, and now I'm gonna change yours.
Permanently.
So let me be very clear about where I stand on the original show. It's incredibly good. I don't need to agree with your intensity about its goodness in order for us to truly agree. So I'll say it again. Avatar: The Last Airbender is one of the greatest TV shows of all time. Period. And not even just good for kids. It's just good. Almost anybody can enjoy it. For example, my dad loves Avatar. He loves it more than me. He loves it so much, he purchased all 3 books on DVD and watched the entire series at least 3 times. This is the book, too, that I'm borrowing from him. But here's the first point I want to get out of the way. Just because something's appealing to a mass audience does not negate the fact that that given thing may have been targeting or catering to a specific group. Bluey, for example, is for preschoolers, but it's good enough that parents enjoy it too. That doesn't happen in reverse, where it's mainly for parents but preschoolers love it too. I dare you to come up with an example. If Bluey wasn't for children, nobody would like it. That's the whole appeal. Similarly, it's not controversial to say that My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic was not made for single grown men. Y'all old enough to remember that phase? I do, because I was a part of it. Saying that MLP is a show for little girls does not mean that grown men like I almost was 12 years ago can't enjoy it for themselves. It isn't wrong to enjoy something if that something doesn't include you as part of their target.
Stay on target, stay on target.
Just because I affirm that Star Wars is for kids doesn't mean I think it's a good idea to throw your 4-year-old on the screen when Anakin's burning. It means kids are generally going to be the ones that imagine themselves as Jedis using sticks in the backyard with their friends. Of course, I have personally seen 2 college dudes sparring outside of my dorm room once, but that's not playing. That is a talent they're developing, and I respect that. But please, let's stop pretending that mass appeal means no target audience. Because at the heart of it, Avatar: The Last Airbender is a show that was made for kids, but not for children. If I were to say that Avatar is for children, that would be offensive. Because that might insinuate that there's almost nothing for older people to enjoy, or worse, that the amount of effort that the creators put into it is so low that only 6-year-olds and below can enjoy any of it. And that's definitely not the case for Avatar. If there was going to be a live-action version of a Nickelodeon cartoon, but one that's full of deep wisdom, solid storytelling, and 3-dimensional characters everywhere, well then yeah, there's nothing offensive to me about this quote. Because that's what's special about Avatar. Everything in spite of it being a cartoon. And I don't use that word pejoratively. Cartoons, that is the animated kind as opposed to the newspaper kind, really only need 2 things to be good. Flow and fun. How well is it animated, and how much entertainment value does it provide? That's all you need, and because of that, Avatar is a good cartoon. The character designs are cool, the backgrounds are awesome, and the story is so good it's not even worth mentioning, because what could I possibly add to the double-decade-long discussion by singing its praises? I want to talk about its limitations, not its flaws. Limitations.
No limitations, no advancement. No advancement, culture stagnates.
Like I said, I appreciate the anime expressions and the excessive force utilized in combat. It enhances everything about the show. But the cartoon aspect of it is not the reason we love the show. It's the rich world building, the foreshadowing, the characters' convictions, Uncle Iroh, the life lessons applicable to anybody, the romance when it's actually there, and the greatness of the rising narrative. and Uncle Iroh. You could create the greatest cartoon show ever made and not use any of these elements. This is why I reject the reaction to reject the Netflix adaptation before it's even been released. Dead on arrival? Really? For these reasons? I mean, I already addressed one of them, but I don't think I need to expand on it. Except maybe to set up the framing as to how I reacted to a lot of other people's reactions. First thing I ask, what did those reports literally say? Secondly, what's the worst versus the most charitable interpretation of the information? And thirdly, is it possible that rendering these reports in the most reasonably charitable light will reach us to a conclusion that doesn't mean the end of the world for this franchise? I mean, can we do that? Can we do that with anything? Let's start with arguably the biggest problem that a lot of people addressed. They're trying to appeal to the Game of Thrones fans.
Game of Thrones has titties and blood and shit out the wazoo. It's totally different. Why would you want Avatar to be morphed into something Game of Thrones adjacent?
Yeah, maybe the brass and strings was the reason why some people tuned into the show every week. I wasn't one of them for those very reasons. But perhaps, let's think about this for a second, perhaps there was another reason why Game of Thrones was so beloved. Like, maybe there's something else about it that people liked. I don't know. Maybe the acting was pretty good, or maybe the set pieces were nice, or maybe there's something about those costumes that really stood out. Oh, right. That's why. All I see in this headline and quote is, "We wanted to take the show seriously." Is that so bad? I can't consider it a bad move to appeal to the fans of the highest regarded fantasy TV series of all time. What's wrong with that?
What? I see this as an absolute win.
The second problem addressed was Sokka, and I knew this was going to happen. No, I knew this had to happen, because Sokka's character is more than half the reason Avatar is a cartoon. Seriously, he's the most difficult thing from the show to adapt to real life. More than half of what he says and does is so goofy and exaggerated. I mean, it's funny, but to make Sokka work for live action, you basically need to rewrite the entire character. I mean, really, can you imagine a person in real life, even a 16-year-old, saying any of these things?
Leave it to a girl to screw things up.
You need to give girls space when they do their sewing.
Smoochy, smoochy, someone's in love.
It's so squishy looking.
Now come back, Boomerang.
It's pretty much my whole identity. Sokka, the meat and sarcasm guy.
Sorry, ladies, didn't mean to interrupt your dance lesson. I mean, normally I'd hold a grudge, but seeing as you guys are a bunch of girls...
I'll make an exception.
I don't know about you, but I don't think this can pass the believability test if a flesh and blood dude delivered these lines. It works in the cartoon because of a theory I'll unpack later, along with all the other videos I promise later, but basically, you can get away with not being realistic if your medium or method of making is less analogous to reality. Cartoonish behavior in a cartoon is well and good, but cartoonish behavior in a live-action setting, unless it's directed by Edgar Wright, is not okay. You need to change it. Therefore, I was not surprised at all that Sokka had some changes. As I see it, the sexism disappearing is a byproduct of the actual goal, which is to keep your disbelief suspended, by keeping this goofy sexist butt-of-the-joke character from ruining your immersion. Some things can stay the same. Sokka's sarcasm and skepticism can easily remain, and I personally wouldn't mind seeing the more serious sides of him, especially the strategic and brainy sides, get more notable time to shine. Besides, the new dude sounds just like him. I have a feeling it's gonna work.
He's about to use that against me, too. That's a crazy thing. I think it looks better than some other earthbending we've seen in the past. I'll say that.
The final reason a lot of people are worried about Netflix Avatar is because the original creators of the last Airbender show were invited on to oversee production, and then they left pretty early over creative differences. That one's, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that one's pretty bad. But it might work. We'll just have to see in 2 days' time. That's all I have for that issue. In conclusion, there are concerns that can be reasonably raised about this adaptation, of course, as there are with all material things, including the original Avatar. If you think you're going to pass on the Netflix version because you happen to like the style and the tone of the original more, that's fine. That's valid. If you end up hating the remake, but I end up loving it, that's fine too. I don't want to tell you what you can and cannot like. But if you're going to say things like, if they mess it up, then this series will be completely ruined, I'm not going to tell you to shut up. But I am going to tell you to say different things. What, you think this DVD is going to disappear if the Netflix version sucks? Oh no! I look forward to the Netflix Avatar, but I also look forward to see what you guys have to say about it. Maybe you'll see how wrong I was after that first season drops. Let's see. And let's hope I can take it as well as I can dish it. Have a thoughtful day.